Okay, lady. So you have a specific energy right now in these days. It's called the 36 genekey, and it's all about turbulence. It's all about the deepest, darkest pains inside of you. Yeah, it doesn't sound so nice, dude, but there's a beauty to this. The 36 genkeys is called the dark night of the soul, or the darkening of the light, actually. The darkening of the light. And that is the energy that we are currently moving through. And I know that part of you has experienced the deepest parts of pain. And the deepest parts of pain hits all of us. No matter if you have this gene key or not, this is universal wisdom. And what is beautiful about this teaching is that in the darkening of the light, what will truly make you liberate again is two things. One, facing the fear of struggle and suffering. Not the struggling or the suffering in itself, but the fear of it. And you might know this feeling where you're like, oh no, I don't want it to go bad. Like, no, I don't want, why do I need to suffer like this? Like, why does it need to be so fucking difficult? Like, you probably know those energies, right? Am I right? Yeah. Okay. But part of that is the fear of going to suffer. So it's actually not the suffering in itself that is the most painful part. It's the fear of the suffering. Because that also puts you in a state of stress, of fighting against the odds, of fighting against the darkness. And yesterday, I had this feeling of the darkening really coming in, and I could see like my mind getting darker. And what came up to me was actually also what this genekey is all about, because the transformation to get out of this is humanity and compassion. To have compassion for the human life. And the human life is so filled with many colors. And one of the things around this genekey is also that the mind will want you to move away, like wants to figure it out. And one of the downsides here is that you can feel truly overwhelmed. And if you're like me, you've probably felt overwhelmed by the world right now. By even a lot of women in my world also feel overwhelmed with their purpose because they can feel it, they can see their big missions, and that's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to actually have a sense of like what you're here for and seeing that gap between where you're at now and where you want to go. And even like, oh, the whole world is falling apart. But the thing is, the world is not, it's not only falling apart, it's also falling into place. And by honoring more and more your sacred heart and the way of love, actually, you can start opening up your heart. And a lot of times when people talk about opening up your heart, it becomes very easily a new form of pressure and the despair that you cannot open your heart. So yesterday, what I did was I actually allowed myself to lay down. I could feel pressure, I could feel despair, I could feel overwhelmed, and I could feel lots of shameful thoughts like really running my system. And I lay down and I put myself in bed and I just breathed, and I actually canceled my scout thing, also because I have stuff with my daughter. I needed to be there for her, but I also felt I really needed to be there for me, for my being, for my humanness that feels overwhelmed, that has had a lot of things on my plate. So I went into my bed, and sometimes that's also good. I'm so sensitive, so lying in a dark room with like pillows and stuff can be so beautiful for me. Also because at that point I can kind of like find back to me and to love and to, in a way, harmony, and like almost imagining that earth is kind of like giving me her embrace of compassion and love, that she sees me, she knows why it's difficult, and she still loves me. And that is the beauty of compassion in its most amazing ways. And it's also so that you cannot truly love and truly think at the same time. So for me, there is at this time also a practice of really allowing myself to come into compassion with who I am, with all my messiness, with all the things that I'm not truly capable of, or that I fear I'm not capable of. When also my soul, she's showing me and she's like, yeah, honey, we're gonna sing this song and it's gonna be the most beautiful thing, trust me. And I'm like, yeah, you sure? Okay, I will go along with you. And that takes some daunting hearts to do that. And this is what the 36 gene key is all about. It's not about pushing yourself, not about avoiding the pain. It's about meeting the pain from the compassion of your humanness. Because you are a human. You have depth. You have scary things inside. And you also have beautiful pathways. And when you meet the night, the darkening, you see it, you're curious about it. You don't need to stay there. I see this as a shadow side as well, of being so overly obsessed with your shadows and your challenges. But you don't need to be overly obsessed with them. But you can be in deep harmony with them. And you can allow yourself to meet you right there, not having to change, not having to be different. Because what is magical right there is that often slowly it changes. So yesterday I was like, okay, I'm gonna lie down. I'm gonna give myself really a lot of love. Even with lots of argument not to. And this is important because there are places where you think, oh, this place it's not worthy of love. Of course it is. You're human. Every part of you is worthy of love. Even the most wrong places inside of you, they're worthy of love. And often the places where pain and struggle comes in, when you meet it with compassion, there's a healing happening, and there's also a creation happening. Beauty can happen from that exact place. And that can bring us into another gene key about beauty and freshness that comes from that introvert, challenged place where beauty can actually be birthed. So there's a lot of beauty in honoring those sacred times where pain and struggle and like fear comes into your system, but you allow you to meet you right there with all your compassion, with all the love. And if you don't have a lot of love right there, because it can be difficult to master, then just allow you that you do not need to fight it. You can stay there and you can just lovingly honoring the energies that are there. Because then I promise you, slowly, you'll be able to move. And what happens when we start putting in compassion to us in the most profound ways is that also our leadership changes. Most of the women coming into my space is very much about like, oh my God, Lene, it's like nothing is so shameful that it's not welcome in a way. And that doesn't mean that I don't have boundaries. Of course I have. And sometimes there are things that I say, this is not welcome in my space, but it's not a reason for shame. It's not a reason to hit yourself. No, it's not a reason for that. It's actually more of a wake-up call for something that needs to be met with love. So the way we lead in the world also change. The way we live in the world changes when compassion is part of it, because then there's no more reasons for us to go into hiding. There's no more reason to do all these games that we're playing with the universe all the time of I'm not good enough, like I need to do more, like all these things. When you meet yourself with compassion, you can breathe again, and you can move again, and you can take your fucking space again, with the love, with the creations, with the silence, with the non-doing, with the doing. Because compassion is not only like leading out in the wild. No, it's just as much leading into the silence. But you know the way. You know what your soul, she wants to sing in this moment. And yesterday I was like, oh my God, I want to sing silence. I just want to be in silence. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, part of me was like, oh, I need to say something. Oh, I need to have some solutions. And when I give myself permission to, I don't need to have anything to say, because my body is saying a lot. The silence is opening channels and energies. And I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. But that happens when I'm allowing me to not having to either perform, to step out and be a strong voice, when actually my silence is what is liberating me far more powerfully. Yeah, so this is also taking us into a time where lots of what we were taught around self-development and business creation and stuff, it's time to kind of like rewire part of that, because we need your more natural ways of life. And there are ways of silence, of compassion, of allowing other kind of rhythms to take over. And we're here to slowly but surely like kind of like move ourselves into those spaces. And that is what I'm called to at this moment. This is what many women at this moment is called to. And because the earth is changing, because the wildness out there is so big, and one of the shadows I didn't even go into is overwhelm of the 36 gene key. And you can be overwhelmed with a lot, but actually it's so that our hearts cannot be overwhelmed. They are so much more expanded. Our energy fields are so much more expanded than our mind. So when we get lost up here only in the mind, we cannot think to the exact solution. We cannot know all the things. And I, for one, I'm a 5-1. Like, I love having the solutions, but I'm also seeing how love and my heart often knows this is the place to go. It's not my mind. And I also want to say to every one of you who's having a defined mind and seeing structures, like, there's beauty in what your mind can do. You're human. You got a mind for a reason. It can make beautiful pathways. It can make you think of beautiful things. But what we're also created for is letting our heart, our compassion, our potency of the whole body, of your whole energy field, to walk this earth. Yeah. So one of the keys and the beauty pathways of the shadow of turbulence, the shadow of deep, dark evolution, it's actually your most beautiful, compassionate humanity, that you are human. So go out in the world today knowing that you are human, and feel what that really feels. Feel the energies that emanates. You are human with everything that means.